Bună ziua, bine ați venit. Well, I wasn't going to do a third Romania Miscellanea, but my subscribers have asked me to and suggested some items I might want to cover. So this would definitely be the final one, and then I'm going to do a comparison of life in Romania and life in France, where I've also lived. So that was requested by Cristi Strate, so I'll do that. But we'll call this one Ne simțim bine in Rovine, because Rovine is the quartier where I live. So some 10 more differences, and I'll add some live footage from outside, so it's not just me droning on in the flat. What I miss probably the most about the UK, I don't miss many things about the UK, a country who imposed tariffs on itself and shot itself in the foot by leaving the EU, but I miss ethnic food. If you asked me what a typical English or UK dish was, I'd say, well, Chinese or Indian, I suppose. Now, Chinese is available here in Craiova. We have a very good Chinese restaurant. In fact, there are two. I've only been to one called Dong Thang, which is now in Cala Bucuresti, and it's excellent, first class, authentic. I think it's run by Chinese people, so to be recommended. It's near the market. Indian food is more difficult. I just haven't been able to discover any Indian food. I like spicy food, and there isn't any here in Craiova, I believe. If I'm wrong, put me right. I did go for an Indian in Sinaia, and it was very disappointing. It wasn't spicy enough, and the onion bhaji was rather greasy, and it was a real letdown, because I was really looking forward to it. But never mind. Okay, Rovine. Ne simțim bine. Da. The Scada, there's a kind of community spirit. I know everyone on our staircase now, and people will help each other out if there's a problem. We had a problem. I was in England, and my wife had a water leak from the cuveta in the bucătărie, and she phoned a friend on another floor, and he came down, he looked at it, he stopped the water, he went off to a store, probably Leroy Merlin, and bought a piece of pipe and came back and fitted it, and just did that. So there's a real sense of support, self-support, community. If anyone's lost someone, the community on the Scada will gather round and help out, and there is a sense of community. Also in the quartier, everyone knows everyone else. I went to the local shop, and the lady was asking me how my mum was. My mum is 94, and I was amazed, because I didn't know she knew A, I was British, and B, that my mother was that age. So there's a sense of community, and I regularly talk to people as I wander around, taking the rubbish down to the bins. You're always going to meet people. So I'd say we know quite a few people in the local area of our blocks, which is nice. There's a real sense of community. I think that's the reverse of being in London, where you can be in a big city and it's the most anonymous of places to be, but here it isn't. Someone asked me to talk about the Pomana Pocului, okay, because we're coming up to that season of Crăciun. We're already in Post, so the pig, most people will raise a pig. Well, I say most people, some people will raise a pig in the country at their country residence, or their parents' country residence, and then they'll kill the pig. Now here in Oltenia, we don't use the blood for blood sausages. That's something they do in Transylvania. I'm actually a big fan of black pudding, and used to eat it a lot in France when I lived in France. But they don't eat it here. But they eat every other part of the pig. And the pomana pocului, the pig will be slaughtered. A child will probably ride on the pig after it's dead, hopefully after it's dead. The hair from the skin will be burnt off with a blowtorch, and it will then be cut up into various sections, various portions, and some of those portions will be cooked up for the people who've assisted with the slaughter. Accompanied normally outside, although it's cold, by tsuika, maybe tsuika fiet, maybe hot tsuika, and bits of the pig will be offered to those who've helped out, sometimes with mamaliga as well, so polenta. So that's the pomana pocului. Someone mentioned to me that the importance of muratur are that they give you your vitamins throughout the winter. Absolutely true. And I'd say the same is true of zakuska. Zakuska, which is this sort of vegetable spread, which is probably best homemade. But my wife always used to buy zakuska when we went up to Valcha. She said that they had very good zakuska there, so she would buy some there. Point 5, parking and parking on pavements. Well, this is a sort of tongue-in-cheek point, really. I saw this about 7 years ago. We haven't had any bad snow in Craiova for about 7 years. So I was here for a while doing something. And yeah, I mean, cars were parked on the pavements. So if you wanted to walk in safety, you walked on the road away from the snow. People will park anywhere here, I mean, causing maximum inconvenience. I wouldn't want to be a disabled person in Romania, because to get a wheelchair past a car on a pavement is nigh on impossible. What you should do is leave your telephone number in the car. So I leave mine in the front of the car, so anyone, if they think I'm blocking them in, they can ring me and I'll come and move the car. In extremis, there is a number. You can phone the council and the police will come along fairly swiftly and take the car away to the pound, where you have to pay a fine to get it back. But parking is a bit of an issue. We've got too many people and too many cars for the number of parking spaces that we have. At one stage they were thinking about selling parking bays, parking lots, but they haven't got round to that, so we just park randomly around our block. Okay, the next, I suppose, esoteric point is the punga kupunj. Yeah, everyone has one of these. Well, we don't. We have a drawer, setar, with punj. We just have a drawer for our bags. But some people have a punga bag for their bags. My mother has one in England, actually. And this is, you have to take your own bags if you're carrying bags, if you're going shopping. Oh, you can buy a new bag, but I mean, it's more sensible just to take your own. So yeah, people will tend to have a punga hanging up with all their shopping bags in. Excuse me. The final comic piece is the insatiable appetite for bread with anything. Bread is really very good in Romania. I think it's on a par with France and Germany. Germany has probably greater variety of bread. The bread here is excellent. homemade bread is probably the best. I've had homemade bread in the country, which is baked and has a sort of blackened crust on the outside, which is knocked off, and then you eat it. There's a ciorba de fasole, which is served within a loaf of bread, which is really very good. I've had that as well. Ciorba de fasole is one of my favourites. But bread is served with everything. There will always be bread there. It doesn't matter if you're having your carbohydrates in the form of rice or potatoes. There'll be bread there as well. So you can double up on your carbs. So that's certainly a feature of Romanian life, eating bread with everything, as it is in France. I mean, this is a key feature of French life. If you don't offer bread, well, it's not a proper meal. We've got, I mentioned, about 400-500 meters away, we've got a Lidl. The Lidl supermarket, which is fairly good value, and they have offers. But people also support their local shops. Even if you're paying a bit more, it's a bit more expensive. We've got 2 local shops which we use here, and they both sell bread from the same supplier. Now, their bread is more expensive than Lidl. It costs 2 lei for a loaf, but that's not excessive. And they sell a very nice bread that we like called boiarasca neagră. So that lasts a bit longer. So people do support their local shops because there's a sense of community, and the local shops do very well because they know the people. So if you live in a block in Rovine anyway, it's likely to have 5 floors. Now it will be described as having 4 floors, but that's because the parterre isn't counted. You've got the parterre and then you've got another 4 floors. So the floors to avoid are the parterre and the top floor, the 5th floor if you like, or the 4th floor as it's described. This is because the parterre will have a bench underneath, so you've got no insulation, and people coming in and out of the front door brings in the draft, so it's going to be colder. You'll always pay more to heat the ground floor. You get an advantage, you get the front garden, this little patch of land. You can put flowers in, trees, and do what you like, it's yours. The top floor is also to be avoided because there may be problems with the roof, with the acoperiș, and it'll be down to you to have the flooding coming in from the roof or to pay for the repairs, because your co-tenants won't be too keen on paying to replace the roof. So the best floors to live are the first floor, very good. You get the heat from below and above. The second and the third floors, those are the ones which tend to be more expensive for those reasons. Okay, we're going across the got through that just about. I'll show you the front gardens I was talking about with the cut off water bottles to protect the plants. I'll show you an example of that in a second. So here's an example of a front garden looked after by the people who live in the parterre, and they've got the bottles over some roses that have been planted and some pomifers, which is very pleasant, and also tree house for birds to nest in. All very nice. So here's my local terraza, TV, soba to keep us warm. Very nice. Shopping there. Some people will come every day. Some people will buy their water there, their beer, even though they're paying a little bit more to keep the local shop going. They know it's worth supporting them. So I think that's to their credit. So we do support the local community and the local shops. These have another function as well, and you can see the local, one of the local shops has a terraza, a bar attached to it, and you'll see some footage of that with a soba, with a stove, a wooden stove, wood-burning stove. Now in the UK, if you want a local tradesman, where do you go? Well, you go to your local pub and you ask people. So word of mouth is very important. And I've been fortunate enough to meet a series of tradesmen at my local bar, an electrician, a plumber, a window installer, and an AC engineer who repaired our air conditioning. So all these people will be found at your local bar, and you know, their reputation goes before them, so you can check if they're reliable or not, and then they will help you out. So it's just like the UK. I mean, my car mechanic used to use the local pub. I got to meet him, and he ended up servicing my car. He sold a car for me, and it's word of mouth. It's how it all works. So if you want a local tradesman, then make friends with people in your local bar. My final point today are again, it's about names, and I talked the other day about the use of the vocative. So I have a friend called Dan, Dane, Yonel, Yonele, Nikolai, can either be Niku or Nikule. Everyone on my staircase and the people in the local area know me as Domnul David, so that's very nice, Domnul David. They don't know my surname. My surname is very difficult and is very Welsh, and they probably wouldn't be able to pronounce it, so Domnul David is absolutely fine. For older people, we have a couple of friends. Nea is used. Nea Sorin is a local character. I'll leave it at that. And then there's a sort of jokey name for, I think I called a friend Christy, Mosh Christy. Mosh is the guy with a big white beard you see at Christmas, Mosh Krajun. If you're talking informally to ladies, then you might change the A at the end of their name to an O. Now, I was told not to do this by my wife, but people do it. They do it all the time, and they do it to her as well. So Elena becomes Eleno, Maria becomes Mario. So just this way of abbreviating or making a name, giving it a different significance, and it's just a custom that we have here in Romania. Okay, well that will be the last Romania Miscellanea, because I'm going to move in the next video onto comparisons with France. So thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day. La rivedere.